You send a message. You wait. You watch the screen. Nothing. The read receipt stares back at you like a taunt. They saw it. They know you are waiting, and they have chosen to do nothing. Your mind starts spinning. What did I say wrong? Too long? Too needy? Too boring? You replay the conversation. You search for the mistake. You start drafting a follow-up designed to fix whatever invisible error caused the silence. This is exhausting, and almost always wrong. Being left on red has far less to do with your words and far more to do with the psychological dynamics that govern all human interaction. Here is what is actually happening. Silence is not passive. It is a power move. When someone leaves you on red, they are communicating something without having to say it. They are asserting control over the pace of the conversation. They are signaling that their time and attention are more valuable than your need for a response. This may be conscious or unconscious, but the effect is the same. You are left waiting. They are in control. I used to believe silence was just people being busy, that they forgot, that they did not mean anything by it. Sometimes that is true. But more often, silence is a statement. It says, I am not prioritizing this conversation. I am not prioritizing you. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming your power. When you respond quickly and consistently, your attention becomes abundant. Abundant things lose value. If they know you will always reply within minutes, there is no urgency. No cost to making you wait. No fear of losing your attention. I used to respond immediately to every message. I thought it was politeness. It was availability. And availability signals low value. The person who responds quickly, but not instantly. The person who is warm, but not always available. The person whose attention feels earned rather than given. That person does not get left on red. Some messages carry an invisible burden. They demand emotional labor. They ask for reassurance. They seek validation. They contain subtle guilt. The receiver senses this weight and delays responding. Not because they dislike you, because they lack the emotional capacity in that moment to carry what you handed them. I have been on both sides of this. I have received messages that felt heavy, messages that required a response I did not have the energy to give. I delayed. I left them on red, not because I did not care, because I could not carry the weight right then. The lighter your messages become, the faster they get returned. Heavy messages sink. Light messages float to the top of the inbox. The more you monitor your phone after sending a message, the more anxious you become. That anxiety leaks into your next communication. It creates a desperation loop. The other person senses the shift in your energy, even through a screen. They feel the pressure of your expectation, and pressure repels. The person who sends a message and genuinely forgets about it is the person who gets a response first. Detachment is magnetic. I used to send messages and then watch my phone like it was a bomb. My anxiety was visible. It made people uncomfortable. They sensed the need. They pulled away. The silence was not the problem. The desperation was. Some people use the read receipt as a weapon. They want you to know they saw your message. They want you to wonder why they have not replied. This is a form of psychological dominance. The silence is the message. It says, I have the upper hand. Recognizing this is half the battle. The other half is refusing to play the game. You do not double text. You do not ask if they are okay. You simply mirror their energy and redirect your attention elsewhere. I have been on the receiving end of this. Someone would leave me on red for hours, sometimes days. They wanted to see me squirm. They wanted to see if I would chase. I stopped chasing. I stopped double texting. I stopped asking if everything was okay. I simply matched their silence with my own. I was no longer giving them the power to control my emotional state. When you send a message and wait for a response, your brain releases dopamine. The anticipation creates a small high. When the response does not come, the dopamine drops. The brain experiences a mild withdrawal. If this happens repeatedly, the brain becomes conditioned to the cycle. It starts to crave the anticipation and fear the rejection. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When you are left on red, your brain is not just waiting for a message. It is experiencing a mini withdrawal. The silence feels like rejection because your brain is processing it as a loss. This is why it hurts. It is not weakness. It is biology. Understanding this allows you to detach. You can tell yourself, this is just my brain doing what brains do. This is not a verdict on my value. Silence has always been a weapon. Interrogators use it to break people. They ask a question and then wait. The silence becomes unbearable. The subject starts talking to fill the void. They reveal things they did not intend to reveal. The same mechanism is at play in your phone. When someone leaves you on red, they are testing your tolerance for uncertainty. They are seeing if you will chase. The question is not whether they will respond. The question is whether you will let the silence control you. 5 moves to reclaim control. 1. The pause before sending. Before you send a message, ask yourself, am I sending this because I want a response or because I have something to say? The message that expects nothing is the message that gets everything. 2. The send and release. Once you send a message, you are done. The rest is not your responsibility. Do not watch. Do not wait. Do not refresh. Move on with your life. 3. The 3-day rule. If you have not received a response after 3 days, assume the message is dead. Do not send a follow-up. If they wanted to respond, they would have. The silence is not a puzzle to solve. It is a boundary to respect. 4. The mirror response. When they respond after leaving you unread, do not punish them. Simply mirror their energy. If they are warm, be warm. If they are brief, be brief. Match the tone. 5. The hierarchy audit. Are you investing energy in people who invest in you? Are you chasing people who do not chase you back? The silence is information. Use it to recalibrate your investment. They are telling you exactly where you stand. Believe them. I used to be controlled by the silence. I would check my phone obsessively, I would spiral into self-doubt, I would craft follow-ups designed to fix the invisible error. Now I send my message and move on. I do not watch, I do not wait, I do not interpret silence as a verdict. I understand that the other person has their own life, their own timing, their own capacity. The silence is not about me, it is about them. Being left on red is information. It tells you exactly where you stand. It tells you how much emotional labor they are willing to invest. It tells you whether the dynamic is balanced or one-sided. Instead of spiraling, treat the silence as data. Use it to recalibrate your expectations. Decide whether this connection deserves your continued energy. The person who internalizes this truth stops checking their phone. They stop crafting follow-up messages. They stop giving other people the power to determine their emotional state through silence. They become the one who does not wait. And that is the person who is never left on red for long.